in Sri Lanka is not just Sri Lanka. It's a South Asian situation. You have to place it in terms of what's the situation is developing in South Asia. The key country for us in South Asia is India, particularly for Tamils, particularly with TNA wanted to kind of root to the Modi. India must be the player and etc. And then through that Modi should be play an important role, etc. We do not link up with the Indian state. We do not argue that things in Tamil solidarity, but we work with people like Jagadish Chandra, who's based in Bangalore, but has done a lot of work in Tamil Nadu, in Pune and various things. He's instrumental in organizing Tamil solidarity meetings in India. At the time of 2009 war in Chennai, there was only one big meeting we are able to organize. We are the one who organized that. Big meeting in Loyola College where Suri spoke. About 600 plus young people took part in that meeting. I don't know, the Roy statement came out of that, etc. So they have been battling on this question for a long time. And the situation in Tamil Nadu, there is a north-south divide at the moment. It was shown in the election. The national question might come back in relation to the Hindi only situation, Hindi language issues, various problems in South Asia in terms of economy, etc. So I think it's also important that we get some idea in relation to what's going on in India, but also South Asia and so on. So, how long do you want to speak? Sorry,
20 minutes.
20 minutes each, maybe, and then we will ask questions. Is that okay? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right then. So it's about, do you want time? It's 4:05. So we'll do that. Okay, we'll do that.
Comrades, I think I believe the comrades here knows the general political situation in Sri Lanka. So because of that, I am not going to give every details to comrades, right? But in the discussion time, we can go into details if any comrades wants to discuss things. You see, I like to start the present crisis in Sri Lanka. From the last year, the constitutional crisis started in October. We all know President Sirisena appointed Rajapaksa as sacking Ranil. Wickremesinghe appointed Rajapaksa as the Prime Minister without having the majority in the parliament. And so UNP mobilized their forces, including the Tamils, MPs, Muslims, and the tea plantation, everybody. And finally, with the decision by the Supreme Court, right, that's Sirisena's the move is unconstitutional, so he has to, Rajapaksa has to resign and Ranil appointed. Of course, there are so many things happening in between. Sirisena said publicly, no, I am not going to reappoint Ranil as the Prime Minister. But finally, he was forced to agree to that position and he was appointed. From there, what I want to tell you, that's my main point, from there was no real government in power. Rift between the President and the Prime Minister, or the presidential system and the Parliament, it was going like the battle. So, country was just floating, really, right? Just floating without the real decision. So that gave us some opportunity to the extremist forces like IS or whoever behind that to seize that opportunity. Launch the attack on April 21st, Easter Sunday, right? For example, 2 months prior to that, there was no Security Council meeting taking place. Normally, Security Council meeting should place every week of the country. There was no Security Council meeting for 2 months because of the rift between the President and the Prime Minister, right? So, On the other hand, what I mean is April 21st Easter Sunday attack, I mean, happened after exactly 10 years after the war victory, so-called war victory, right? So, but with this attack, the country was shocked. I mean, first week of the attack, nothing happening. Nobody went to their workplaces. Trains and buses are not running properly, right? Schools were closed for, I mean, nearly 6 weeks, right? And so, how I see the situation, right? Because people thought now there's a peace after the war. But it's a wrong interpretation. Because there's no war, people thought peace is there. Because no war, people thought peace is there. That's wrong. Because since 2009, this government or the previous Rajapaksa government did not do anything to have the real peace program in the country. They forget about everything, like monkeys. They forget everything. They just thought nothing going to happen in the country. You see, with this, I mean, the Easter Sunday attack, the other very the dangerous development in the country took place is anti-Muslim campaign. Of course, I mean, after 2009, there were many anti-Muslim campaigns. I am not going to go into detail. Dargah town killings. I think most of the Congress knows that. 3 Muslims were killed under the Jnanasara and others led the campaign. And so many Muslim ventures were burned in Colombo and so many things happening. No time. Then Ampar and Digana, so many things happening. There were anti-Muslim campaign. Led by mainly the Sinhala, the capitalists, because they have competition with the Muslims. But anyway, in the country, there was generally anti-Muslim campaign took place. After they finished the war, they thought now the problem is over with the Tamils, right? Now they are not in a position to fight back. So let's, finish the Muslims. That was the idea behind. But with this terrible attack by the extremists, Saharan group, gave the opportunity, single Buddhist opportunists, extreme the people, to come forward and have a public campaign against the Muslims. It was never before that situation. To have a public campaign. In the speeches, in the Buddhist temples, when they go for any other, in Sri Lanka there's a big thing in the funerals, especially Buddhist monks come and do something. Now it has turned to a completely anti-Muslim this thing. Every funeral, that kind of meeting, right, in the temples, Buddhist temples, started the anti-Muslim campaign. So there was one of the big case called Dr. Safi from Kurunegala. He's a government hospital, very famous doctor, very qualified doctor, gynecologist, you see. He was released about 3 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago. He was in the remand prison for nearly 3 months. Saying that, he has done, I don't know the exact word, he has done thousands of, what do you call it?
Tubectomy.
Eh?
Tubectomy.
Yeah, you understand.
Sterilization.
Yeah. There is no scientific evidence. There's no way that anybody can prove that. But he was, kept in the prison, right? Not only that, that's a clear, example for the campaign. You see, you may not believe really what I'm saying, now what I'm going to say. The Sinhala people now not going to an ordinary the Muslim shop to have a cup of tea, have a bun, Because that's people thinks, every those things, that some sort of secret kind of medicine things is included to those things, to serve separately the Muslims. They have a separate system to serve Muslims, the Muslims and others. Single people get separate thing, and to stop the producing the babies. You see, in this thing, it's a complete false thing, and no way that anybody can prove this thing. And this has become empty now. Not only the house of fashions or the what you call the big shops. I'm talking about very small people. Of course, Tamil people, living in mix up with the single people in Colombo, and some other areas little wise, but Muslims are scattered everywhere. They are mixing, they are living day-to-day life with the single people, all of the country, right? So now, their life has come to end now, right? At least 3 or 4 personal doctors, Muslim doctors which I know, they telling me when I met them, I went there because we have to see them and discuss with their problem. They said, Mr. Siristungu, I have stopped my private clinic because nobody comes to my clinic. Not a single person comes to my clinic to take any medicine. So what I can do, that's what I'm doing. Now, so I'm thinking one of the doctors said, I'm thinking of shifting to Malaysia. Not everybody can do that, right? So, this is a situation now. And other hand, keep the Buddhist monks in Kandy, Malwatta and Asgiria. It's mainly Asgiria, not Malwatta, right? The Asgiria leader, Asgiria chapter leader, publicly saying that I do agree if some person wants to kill the Muslim by throwing the stones. He publicly said that, right? So this is the message now coming to this thing. So in this situation now, in Sri Lanka, you see, in addition to the Tamil national question, the Muslim problem has come as a very big problem. So, what is this government doing? That Ranil can give the answer because I don't have power. The defense is controlled by the president. Of course, he controls the president. But I don't think Ranil. What he did it before about Digana in the candidacy and Ampar incident that took place 2 years ago. Nothing. I think over the many so-called liberal type of people in Sri Lanka, NGOs and other people, some of the left people like NSSP people like Vikram Bahu, created a situation that Ranil is a liberal, the leader. He's only leader can, do something to solve the national question. But last 4 or 5 years, what he did? Nothing. He said, soon after he came to power in 2015, he said the 20th independence celebration in the Sri Lanka is going to take place under the new constitution. Where's the new constitution? Not even draft has to come out. So I think this, what we have to understand is shows the people who are still thinking that appealing to the best capitalist class or the progressive or the liberal capitalist class, that they can find a solution to the national question. That's the one line. Just let me, before develop that particular thing, what I want to tell you, one other aspect, developed soon after this Easter Sunday attack, is the role of the military. Since this government came to power, there were so many the military leaders were taken to custody, brought to the courts in several charges and this and that, and slowly the war heroism is going down a bit, really speaking, right? But with the Easter Sunday attack, military came back, right? in a big way, because government has to depend on the military, right? And now they are not going back to the original position, right? I mean, military has what you call say in politics now. That's the key thing. They say without us you can't guarantee any security, right? That's the mistakes the government did it. So it's a very key development and thing that now military in one hand has come back, at the same hand single Buddhist monks, right, is pressurizing the politicians. You can't take any decision without us. It's like army, what doing. So now army and the single Buddhists coming together is a new factor, new political factor. It's not yet formalized, right? It could take place in future, right? Because there's a very big, anger against a politician. Not only Ranil, of course, Ranil and this government highly unpopular at the moment. But same time, the Rajapaksa camp is using this situation, anti-Muslim campaign, anti-Tamil campaign, right? Ranil Wickremesinghe tried to divide the country, right? We unite the country, winning the war, but Ranil is trying to give the country back to Tamil, right? So, using those things, but still, I would say Rajapaksa is not popular as the people think. Their politics is not popular because people they just can't forget everything what happened. 2005 to 2014 or 15. So because of that, there's completely anarchist situation politically, and the people are not happy. Of course, when the election comes, finally people will go and vote, right, to one or the other major the capitalist parties. Like here, it's like America, it's like all other countries. But same thing will happen, but not the same situation. Tamil leaders, there's no way, they don't have any program, any perspective to how to go forward, rather than going behind Ranil Wickremesinghe. Now they are facing another problem. If Ranil is not going to be the candidate for the coming presidential election, right? If the Sajid going to come, if they're going to support the same way to the Sajid, son of Sajid Premadas, right? So if the Gotabaya going to come, or any other person going to come from the Rajapaksa camp, so they are what you call pushed to the wall now, right? At the same time, Tamil leaders has to take the responsibility. Or the last, seize the war over. Forget about first 3-4 years soon after the war. But say this last 3-4 years, what they did. They did nothing to mobilize the Tamil people. They just, rather than going behind the government, they did nothing to mobilize the people to win their demands. Political prisoners releasing, or the disappears problem, or they get back the traditional land to the Tamil people, or they solve the national question, nothing. Now, of course, konyan things has taken place, right? Nothing serious thing has happened. Nothing serious thing has happened in the country. So they are pushed to wall. So Vigneswaram and Gajendra and others, they think, what's their program? No program. So it has, clearly shown, going through this, the capitalist parties, right, one or the other, there is no, you can't find any solution to the national question, because, especially, this present, today's situation in Sri Lanka, which, I have not experienced this situation before in my life. Even the war time, or before the war, right, the 2009, we have to close down our party center, the April and May, because so many pressures and the dangerous situation against us, calling especially me and my party as single as tigers. But I have never seen the communal tension like today anti-Muslim. Every house you get the pressure. Even our comrade houses are, their families are giving the pressure to our members. Don't go to Muslim shop. Don't buy anything from them. Don't say anything in your paper about the Muslims. That's not the case in the 2009. We openly, with the dangerous situation against the government and the military repression, but still we fought for the Tamils. We still put forward our slogan, right of self-determination of Tamil-speaking people. But now, I mean, you can't openly talk, really. Speak, that's the situation. So we are in this situation. I think most of the people, of course, most of the people, the entire country is looking for some way out. Because you can't go like this. So only way out is the coming president election. President election is due in between the end of November and first week of December. It's a constitutional thing. Nobody can change it. Yeah, nobody can change it. It has to have the election either end of November or the first week of December. So it's about 3.5 months to go. But see the crisis. UNP doesn't have a candidate. They are talking. They said, no, we will announce and this and that. The Rajapaksa camp has no candidate. They are talking Gautabe, Chamal Rajapaksa, so many people. But they have not announced. Even as I said the earlier discussion, even Donald Trump has announced his candidature to 2020. Right? More than a year to go. But what is Sri Lanka? 3 months only. No candidate from the Capitalist Party. Either this or they or this. Or Sri Lanka, SLP or the Citizens Party. No candidate. Right? So in the country is facing the biggest crisis since the independence. That's my reading. And we feel we have no any other the choice other than that to take this opportunity, take this our message of socialism, and bring all the forces who's been the repression under this capitalist system, bring together and to find the way out under the banner of socialism. Thank you.
Compared to Sri Lanka, which has seen an open war against the Tamil minority in that country, which bordered on, in fact, genocide. As Siri pointed out, no war means it's not peace. I mean, that way, India, the Indian capitalist class, has been in a perpetual war against all the minorities. Maybe 10 or 20 years soon after the independence, there was a lull in the war against the minorities, especially religious minorities, caste minorities, etc. But today, it's a new situation of an acute crisis, critical phase that India has entered. I don't have to explain to you, the last 5 years, from 2014, we had a new dispensation of a government. In fact, last Tamil Solidarity meeting that I spoke here, I tried to explain the situation in Modi's India, Modi's vision of India. But today, with all the problems that I wouldn't say generally the working class people, but the general mass of the population, everybody is questioning themselves, what did go wrong? In spite of the situation that the Indian people faced in the last 5 years of the deprivation, of the poverty, the squalor that has increased under Modi's regime, yet again Modi came to power. What is the maths? How this chemistry can happen? That is the big question even among the so-called left analysts, they all put their eggs in the basket of Congress, saying that, I mean, somebody asked me this question, I think Raghavan asked me this question earlier, the question of less cerebellism. Yeah, we don't have any other alternative. Let's face the fact. Let's have Congress. Rahul Gandhi is much more kinder, looks younger, looks more fairer than Modi. So let's have him. And also he has the not if not his own experience, but the family experience of ruling India. So everybody voted with whatever justification they knew that we will have Congress instead of Modi. The left parties themselves, who are supposed to be leading the struggle against capitalism, leading this against all kinds of discrimination, instead they chose to put their eggs in the basket of Congress, some openly, some covertly, without direct this thing. But everybody thought Congress and coalition will come to power. So, but that completely went for a 6. In the language of Siri, it went for a 6. But what happened? What is the question? How this happened is a very important point, not from academic interest, but from the point of view of the future struggles that we need to wage in this continent called India. As you know, between 2016 to 18, nearly 5 million jobs were lost because of the blunder of Modi and his team, which brought in the so-called miracle achieving policies of demonetization, that is note ban, and then the question of goods and services tax, which really killed tens of thousands of jobs in the informal sector, in the retail sector, and also in some of the major manufacturing, whatever left off now in the manufacturing also. In between the 2016 to 18, as I said, 5 million jobs have been lost. So Modi came to power with the slogan of I will end the unemployment. As a starting point, he said, towards that, like we Marxists talk of a transitional program, he said, towards that, I will provide 2 million jobs every year. So, by that time, he should have, 2 crore jobs, that is 20 million per year. So, by that count, he should have brought in 100 million jobs. Instead, we lost 5 million jobs. And by the way, just to bring one fact, during the entire election campaign, not only they suppressed the real data, the government data on unemployment, during the election campaign, they also, they never talked about their achiever policies. In fact, Modi trumpeted, in fact his finance minister Arun Jaitley then trumpeted that this is an achiever, this is going to create the good days, that is the Achhe Din in Hindi, what they call Achhe Din. But what happened? Today, in the election campaign, they never even once, none of the leaders of the BJP who campaigned, of course their star campaigner was Modi himself, none of them even mentioned once the demonetization and the GST, because they were so unpopular. They were so unpopular. As you know, 181 people died because of the demonetization directly. Standing in queues, bank workers losing their lives because of the stress. I mean, my own sister, 2 sisters work in public sector bank. One of my sisters saw in her own eyes that one of her colleagues collapsed because of the stress, and he had a heart attack, because people were working from morning 9 to night 12. So the bank workers could not go out. So that was the situation, and they could not complete the work. And that is the kind of situation, a chaotic situation that was brought in by the policies of this thing. But then, with all this unpopularity, I mean, by the way, another figure that I would like to, just to give you a picture, the unemployment in the country, which is around 7%, is the 45-year high. In the entire history, in the last 45 years, there has never been such an unemployment in the country. India survives on informality. In terms of employment, it survives on informality, and today, informal, Modi, in one of the debates, even before the election, some of his cabinet ministers argued that நாங்க வடையெல்லாம் எவ்வளவு பேர் வடை விற்கிறாங்க, அது வேலை கிடையாதா? சமோசா விற்கிறாங்க, அது வேலை கிடையாதா? See, even that, he thought everybody can open a snack kiosk, and that will be this thing. That he endorses that kind of a thing, and also he talks of an India which is going to compete, become a 5 trillion economy by 2024. I mean, it would be really a miracle if by preparing, manufacturing, whatever manufacturing, cooking samosas and vadas, if India could compete with China or America, that is a miracle. I do accept that's a miracle, because this is the kind, I mean, for example, in the recent budget, Modi's finance minister announced that they have a new policy for the skilled labor. What is that new policy? That is repair, maintain, and service. That is the new policy that they are going to see. No, they are not talking of manufacturing jobs. They are not talking of making cars. They are not even talking of manufacturing mobile phones or any other thing. Repair, because they take pride in the skilled engineers that they have produced. Because as you know, every month there are 1.36 million educated people coming out, knocking on the doors of the economy for more jobs. So in that situation, what kind of an economy that India, Modi's policies can create? But having said that, how did he achieve the victory? Because of the polarization that has taken place in the country between them and us, 85% for the and the rest, and he has even his globalists, like the Goebbels of Hitler. Amit Shah has declared Buddhists are safe, Jains are safe, Hindus are safe. Who is left? The 15% of the population, it is the Muslims and the Christians who will be under threat. To make that happen, they have brought in the most obnoxious new policy called the National Register of Citizenship. Now it has been introduced in Assam, and it is going to be introduced in all the 29 states. Because every parliamentarian who has come to get elected, he wants, please send it to my taste, because there are so many Muslims here, so many Bangladeshi Muslims here. We would like to weed out everybody. And this is the kind of situation. I mean, I think we have to understand even Sri Lanka, the polarization that the Gnanasaras, the Gotabayas, the Maharajapaksas, and Sirisenas are trying to bring in Sri Lanka has to be understood in the context of what is happening in India itself. In fact, Modi was such a disaster. The April 21st bombing of the Easter Friday bombing that took place in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, Modi used it in his election speech, saying that if Sri Lanka had a prime minister like me, this would not have happened, because he was trying to beat his chest by saying that I sent jet aeroplanes to Balakot, that is a border town between Kashmir and Kashmir and India. So that he said that I have sent to even to that extent. I'm so 56. He always makes a point that his chest is 56. So 56 inches chested prime minister. And if the leaders of Sri Lanka had shown the same masculinity like me, there would not have been a bombing from the ISIS. So he is so despicable to use a human tragedy to win an election. So this is the open situation that we are faced in the country, in Sri Lanka, in India today, which is very similar. Of course, Sri Lanka compared to India in terms of area, in terms of other social issues may be microcosmic, but what is happening in these countries, it is the failure of the bourgeois to solve any of the single one problems in the society, or banking upon division, banking upon polarizing the people on the religious, caste and other issues, so that this, Ceylon mentioned before informally, we are discussing about what is identity politics amongst the left, amongst the revolutionary left. But in fact, identity politics is an island on which the bourgeois, the capitalist class will continue to rule, because identity is such a poison that they can feed. In the name of identity, they can feed poison and drive it through the throats of the people. You hate Tamil hate Sinhala, Sinhala hate Tamil, Hindus hate Muslims, Muslims hate Christians. This is what, it's not a new phenomenon. It's the question, we see around the world. We see around the world the Bolsonaros, the Macrons, Le Pen, and Modi, Trump, and Putin. All these monsters of politicians have used the same method, but yet our left leaders, our so-called leaders of the working class parties have not realized. Unfortunately, the majority of the membership of those parties are not with us. We are trying our level best to reach that. Sri Lanka, we have a small registered party, United Socialist Party, which has a glorious record of defending the Tamil, oppressed Tamil people in Sri Lanka, alongside putting forward the socialist policies for the trade unions and other working masses. Likewise, we compared to Sri Lanka, we are even tiniest for the 1.34 billion people in India, but yet we have the clarity, we have the ideas, not just by reading books or anything like that, but we have applied. In one of the earlier discussions, the question of application came into the question. It is the question of application as to what you have read or you have understood, what the theory that you have to. In that context, the Indian left parties, however gigantic they may be, Ceylon was telling me yesterday, they have 5 million membership in their trade unions, and they could organize, the left trade unions together, 10 trade unions, could organize world's largest, biggest general strike just in January, 7th and 8th of January. But yet, within 2-3 months, Modi came back to power. What is the corollary? What is the, how could you compare? How could you digest that kind of a, complete disarray? They say you cannot, the thing is, the class issues are different. Again, another reverse identity politics, trade union issues are different, politics is different. That's the policy of the communist parties. We are totally against that. we need a politically conscious working class to take on the capitalist class, and for that we need political strikes, not general strikes like தமிழ்ல சொல்றாங்களே அப்பா அம்மாவோட திவசம் பண்ற மாதிரி வருடமும் ஒரு 2 திதி ஒரு 2 திவசம் பண்ணிட்டா போச்சு. அதுதான் நடக்குது. தமிழ் இந்தியாவில் திவசம் தான் பண்றாங்க. ஒவ்வொரு வருஷமும் 2 நாள் 3 நாள் ஜெனரல் ஸ்ட்ரைக் நடக்குது. ஆனா முதலாளித்துவம் அப்படியே நல்லா இருக்கு. இதுதான் பிரச்சனை. So this we have to expose, and that is of course it's a long process, but it is happening. It is happening, and with this kind of a social division, I mean, it's not going to last for long. We know, we have the confidence in our ideas, because already the first rumblings have started taking place. For example, after how many years? 30 years or 35 years, the railway workers in India, Indian railway workers, is a giant. It is the biggest railway network in the world. The workers of the railways have announced their opposition to the policies of Modi, of privatization, of selling of the railway assets. And in the coming weeks and months, there will be mobilizations and there will be general strikes. And this time, it will be a challenge for Modi. He will meet his match. And of course, the biggest stumbling block today to even divert that kind of a mobilization will be the communist parties. So it is a very difficult task, but yet we have to raise the flag of a new mass workers' party based on the ideas of a socialist alternative. That is the very big task, very difficult task, but yet it has to be done, and that's what we are trying to do in India.
Thank you very much. All speakers were really on time. Didn't take any more time at all. So what I would propose that we'll take questions and contribution. You can take notes and come back in the end.
Okay.
Okay. So it's open to you. Don't waste your time thinking about it. Ask your question. Contribution? Alan? Yeah. Done.
I asked for as you said earlier, you said the Tamil people leaders' agenda, which is not go for the Tamil people. Even they don't have even agenda. What you say there? Okay, even Tamil people or we also, even we lost hope with our leaders. So, would you suggest which are the single politician can replace these Tamil leaders? I mean that so-called they are the leaders for Tamil. I mean TNP or other party. Do you have any idea about who has a good view about Tamil people, Tamil demands? Thank you.
You can also try to kind of deal with the questions that comes up in the discussion also, you know. So feel free also to speak in Tamil. I can translate if you want to. Yeah, Kedis.
Yeah. How can you try and build up a real trade union in Sri Lanka? What are the chances? And what are the avenues or what are the strategies that could be used by international communities to try and bring the trade union into light to the future generation?
It doesn't have to be just a question. You can also make contribution about what you think about the situation and what you heard, what's your comment, and also. Yeah.
As you say, the railway is going to take a strike against the government.
No, they have not announced the strike yet, but it can happen.
Yeah.
They are very angry.
Yeah, if it is happening, and that means all of the population. That means most of the population has to support them and let them know that they are power. We are powerful than the government. So no privatization has to be taken without the population's knowledge, isn't it? So on that that period, if they did it, all the parties has to support them and tell them that the government, you cannot take whatever they would want from the population. So there should be some kind of a influence saying that the protesters, that we support you. Is my suggestion actually.
Yeah. Sambat, and anybody else? Taru again? Yeah.
I want to ask you, I know now the Muslim community are so skewed by this government. Do you think the Mahinda Rajapaksa or other political leaders can sort this?
Can
Can
Sort
sort out
this.
this. Sort
this out.
Sort out the problem. It's a general question. Generally, everybody thinks that is possible. Amanam.
My question to you is that ISIS, is it a drama or not? Is it a drama played by the Rajapaksa family to come back into the forum? And because you can see the link between the Podubala Sena and the ISIS has been funded by the same source. And this is a time, and also is it another, on other side, is it the way the Western forces which really want to get into the country in any forms, because they find that China's influence is much greater than their influence, even India. So is it one of the ways of getting in through the back door and influencing and taking over certain part of the country, saying that IS are going to be standing here? Even I think recently Modi went and warned that we will deal with the issue rather than you are inviting so many others who will be spying on us in other side. So this ISIS, is it a drama or is it a real threat? That is one of the questions. Second one is, as you said, that even you can say that Tamil parties are not focused or whatever it is, but Tamil parties are playing another drama as well, I think. I don't know. They are playing another drama in another sort of way, because they are indirectly saying is that we are playing dramas, saying that, oh, we have tried to the lowest level possible, even to the extent that we will give in whatever our freedom are, you give us some rights at least. So then we have got a bargaining chip on the other side, that Sri Lanka is like in Mahabharata war, that the Duryodhana said that I will not give even a needle piece of land. So then it has become a war of Duryodhana rather than the war of Pandavas. So then that is a game they are playing at, that is what they are claiming about. But it can be that game, it can be other games. We don't know what they are playing on. Or they are incompetent, in other words. So which of this is true?
Okay. Before Tanu want to come back in, but Nadesan?
Yeah, I have a question to the Jyotish. Recently, in Indian Parliament, they're trying to pass a new law about the standardization, which is supported by CPM, I believe, right?
Standardization of
Yes.
education?
Yes, in education, yes.
The quota system.
Yeah, the quota system. Which is the Communist Party supported that
Yes.
resolution, which is going to give 10% of quota for
Upper caste.
Economically deprived.
Yeah, economically deprived societies.
Upper caste.
Yeah, which is for the Brahmins, of course. So there's a problem even in like the state parties like BNK and others also oppose it. But I think that that quota system is still valid. Like they have to update the quota system anyhow, but not in this way, because there's a quota system at the moment they have is only for the education. I don't think so. They have same thing in the private education system, which they have in there, and of course the private sectors in for the world we don't have a quota system. The the Dravidian parties or the Dravidian organizations over there, they, when we talk about this new alternative or new forces, they are trying to support DMK or other alliance, this Congress alliance to stop BJP come to the power, which is, we can see that which was failure. But even in Tamil Nadu, in other part of southern India, they believe they can go with these state parties. So for that, they saying this, these are the benefits like quota system, and they are opposing the need, and they are opposing various other stuff. So this, they believe this is enough to fight against the BJP alliance or against the right-wing ideas. But I know it is, there's a shortage of it. But when the people see this is, in this bourgeois democracy, this is the alternative that we have. We don't have any other alternative. So this is the better solution that we have. So that is why, and they said we have to influence them, we have to work with them, not to pressure them, not to pressure the DMK, just influence the DMK and get what we want. That's how they work. The DK, Dravida Kalam works like that, and that's how we have to work, and that is the system they have at the moment, and they're asking if we oppose that, what are the things that we can put now at the moment. When we talk about we have to build a new alternative or new forces, they said, okay, you build it, then you come, we can see that. But at the moment, how are we going to vote? How are we going to support? Which party we can support? So because these are the things that they see, they get benefited. They benefit because of this quota system and other stuff from the Dravidian movement and other. In Kerala, they have some other different systems. So those are the things they see, that is the beneficiary, and this BJP government is destroying all those stuff. So we have to protect that system. So we have to protect that tradition, which they believe they have to protect the DK or DMK. That is their whole idea. Protect the DK or DMK is beneficiary for their saving the system. This is how they are arguing it. So my question, what I'm thinking is that quota system, in this democracy, in this system, we have to update for the current situation, or we should continue as same.
Anybody else? Sorry.
I have few observations. Finally, one question. The observation is this about the Tamil parties. Since 1956, they have been undermined by the central government in Tamil. So they can't do anything effectively to organize this proletariat or whatever. Every time, even 2015, they agreed to various solutions, or they discussed about it with Rani. Time couldn't deliver it. Or Mahinda Rajapaksa didn't care about it. In fact, he used it to campaign against Ranil and the government. And the second thing is the security forces, trade unions, and the Mahasangha, all divided by party loyalties. You said Malvate is UNP and Askaria, and there are small parties, small Mahasanghas, the other 2, 3. They are all divided among themselves by party loyalties. Yeah? The other thing is, now if you, immediately after the Easter bombing, there was an unofficial meeting with Mahinda Rajapaksa and Gotabaya. All the top retired security people were discussing various situations. So that shows people are not interested in security of the country. It's about party politics. Immediately after opposition leaders, has he got priority over the government to organize such unofficial meetings with the security head of former some commanders, Navy, Army, and police, DIG. So where is the security and authority of the state? That means, is there a state in Sri Lanka?
Sorry, last
State.
Is there a state in Sri Lanka? Functioning state?
It is a functioning state in Sri Lanka. Anybody else? Or
I think it's just, I just want to say something like, actually from what he simply said is that, so you got Buddhist monks, and then you got the military. So the way this is going towards is, are we going towards a military state?
Then
Okay, I'm going to ask another question to Sweden. We all heard about Elie from Kodabaya Rajapaksa program. With that program, how much success he has? Because I know he launched it in Sri Lanka. He made a successful launching there. But he tried to launch it here through the Tamil Solidarity and the organization. We blocked here. He can't continue those earlier projects here. Afterward, do you think the Mahinda Rajapaksa can choose him as a candidate of his political party? And also, I need to ask another question about JVP. In 1976, while we brought in Vatukota resolution, which is called Vatukota resolution, in that, while we launched the Vatukota resolution, those times the JVP was attend there. They support that Vatukota resolution and they demand Tamil need their rights, right? Now they have the same opinion about the Vatukota resolution, or they may change now.
Sorry, excuse me. Was JVP agree to that resolution?
Yes.
no.
No, never.
A section of the
This is
JVP.
for a long time.
Section of the JVP.
They said not the official JVP. A section of the JVP, even the statement they put forward had diluted the entire Vatukota resolution.
Yeah.
They did not really support it.
Yeah. Okay. So Lavanya, Madan, and Lavanya.
Okay, the Muslim issue in Sri Lanka is an ongoing issue like years ago. That's like normally in our solidarity, Tamil Solidarity and other organizations also, the policy and demands is long term. It's like, it's take time to achieve. What's the immediate solution for that? And for the same in Hinduism in India also, what's the immediate solution?
Madan?
நான் தமிழ்ல டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணேன். முதலாவது என்னன்னு சொன்னா இந்த மூன்று பிரச்சனை ஓடிக்கொண்டிருக்கு. பொலிட்டிக்கல் பிரிசனர்ஸ் அண்ட் அரசியல் காணாமலாக்கப்பட்டோர், மற்றது தனியார் படுத்ததுக்கு எதிரான போராட்டங்கள் நடைபெற்றன. அந்த தருணத்தில் ரெண்டு பிரச்சனையால அந்த போராட்டங்கள் நசுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கு. அதாவது பார்லிமெண்ட்டுக்குள்ள நடந்த அந்த கிரைசஸ், அதாவது மைத்திரி உடனடியாக ரணிலை விட்டு ராஜபக்ச பண்ணதுக்காக அந்த போராட்டங்கள் நசுக்கப்பட்டன. அதுக்கு பிறகு இந்த ஈஸ்டர் அட்டைக்கு பிறகு சில மலையக போராட்டங்கள் மற்ற தமிழ் பேசும் மக்களோட போராட்டங்களும் மறைக்கப்பட்டு இப்போ கிரைசஸ் ஓடிக்கொண்டிருக்கு. அண்மையில நீங்க சோசியலிஸ்ட் பார்ட்டி என்ற முறையில ஸ்ரீலங்காவில் இந்த மரண தண்டனைக்கு எதிராக நீங்க ஒரு கேம்பெயினை செஞ்சிருந்தீங்க, சப்போர்ட் கொடுத்துருந்தீங்க. அந்த கேம்பெயின் எவ்வாறு போகுது? அதே மாதிரி மைத்திரி இப்போ கடந்த 5 வருஷமாக அவரோட பதவியில் இருக்கும்போது ஒரே ஒரு விஷயத்தை தான் அவர் செய்ய முடியுது என்று எதிர்பார்த்து வந்திருக்கார். அதாவது போதைப் பொருள் அவர் அனைத்தையும் ஒழிக்க வேணும்னு சொல்லி. ஆனால் அதை எப்படி நீங்க பாக்குறீங்க? இந்த இப்படி நான் சொன்ன அந்த டிமாண்டுகளுக்கு நிக்கிற இந்த லெப்ட்னு சொல்றாங்க இருக்கிற போராட்ட சக்திகள் இவ்வாறான பிரச்சனை வரும்போது அமைதியாக இருக்கிறார்கள். அந்த தருணத்துல நீங்க யுஎஸ்பி ஒரு பலமான அமைப்புன்னு சொல்லும்போது நீங்க எப்படி அந்த ஸ்டாண்ட் நீங்க எடுப்பீங்க?
Alright, just translate this. There are three particular points that is important, which is that has been taking place in the past, which is struggle against the political prisoners, against the disappeared, and also against privatization. And then there are two things that kind of put a stop to these kind of activities. One is the parliamentary coup that took place, trying to replace Ranil, and also the Easter bombing, which has also stopped the struggle of the hill country workers. And the Socialist Party, you have campaigned against recently about the capital punishment being introduced. How is that going? And Maitri, what he said in the last 5 years, one of the key things is that he wants to eradicate drugs abuse and so on. Maitri,
Yeah.
in the 5 years of time, he wanted to eradicate drugs abuse in the country and so on. What is that not important? That's the question. So the left in general is quiet for all these things and etc. USP as a force, what are you going to do? What are you planning to do?
One more question, please.
Yeah.
Is Andhra Kumar Dissanayake sitting on the fence?
Unlike
Kumar.
Andhra Kumar Dissanayake, is he sitting on the fence?
Anurag Kumar.
yeah.
Is he sitting on the fence?
Is he on the fence?
Middle of
Just
the
not
fence.
taking the position.
Not taking any question.
I don't really.
Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else? Questions? I want to also come into the discussion, but I also want to come into the discussion. I'll check that because I don't want to speak for anyone. Where is Nadesan? Is he gone?
Take a
Oh, yes, yeah. So the thing is, comrades, is that it's good questions and everything, and I'm sure the comrades will come back into the discussions. It's an important point that Tanu mentioned, that Kottabaya was not able to lounge anywhere in London. He couldn't have even book a meeting place. We blocked it. Tamil Solidarity played an important role in that. And we're all very happy about that. And there is a serious issue. And then we were as a small organization, but we still did it and shown their weakness here. But also there is an important aspect to that. We did that with the full support of the Sinhala community as well. They refused to go and support this meeting. They didn't turn up. Even the Kottabaya people didn't turn up. When we are outside, when I was there, we took a correct position and said, look, if you divide, this is a divisive politics. If you go inside and support this politics, then country will be divided. Don't ask us why country is going to be divided. And some of them really engaged in the discussion, even that force. And then we are explained a little bit more in terms of like 100-day program, nobody owns it. They were laughing and agreement and so on. So, yeah, etc. And so there is a that precisely what we call a class politics. And that is not present at the moment in Sri Lanka. So the Easter bombing is one of the biggest event since 9/11, because terrorist attack since 9/11, the biggest terrorist attack in Asia, and also in the most of the Muslim population in Asia as well, Indonesia, India, Pakistan, and so on in Sri Lanka. And then that has a huge impact in Sri Lanka. You can never underestimate what actually happens. Never underestimate, and so on. So what's the position is taken by all these parties that Siri mentioned, UNB, SLP, the Rajapaksa party, and all these various variations, have taken a very simple thing. We are against these terrorists, which means against all the Muslims, and then we will whip up chauvinism, a singular nationalism, which actually elevated people like horrendous people like Jnanasara, the terror, which they themselves put in prison. Now he is the leader in the country. If next person is going, if we endorse the next person, whoever candidate, they will be president. That's how popularity he has. So imagine the situation, how quickly changed. But in this particular situation, then you would think, okay, where is this TNA? Where is TNDF? Etc., etc., But look at that situation. Even they wouldn't even argue, maintain their own campaign, change the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Look, there is going to be a much more worse Terrorism Act going to come. What the hell? It's completely silent. You're endorsing everything that government is doing. Tamil community don't deserve such a passive, useless, reactionary leadership. And it's not even comparable to the leadership that existed before this militancy, the Ceylon and go, you know. Even you can't even compare the low level of the political Tamil leadership we have now. So I think the situation with the left, you are right. It is such a horrendous situation. I'm sure Siri can explain. JVP completely, you know, almost Janasara sort of position, you know, when it comes to the political position. Because people will split off from that also because they see this majority population kind of shifting in consciousness, falling in consciousness politically, basically, and they pander to that lower level and then reduce their program, reduce everything they stand for. Generally, all the EPR, EPP, all them together saying, we defeated terrorism before, we can't allow terrorism again, we will make sure we will defeat. That's a slope. Not just the JVP, you would think that that's the JVP saying. No, what the Tamil party saying, military, stay in power. They have really not put forward any of the struggle demands and etc. etc. But in this situation, kind of what the Tamil should do, what the Tamil solidarity should do, etc. etc. As we know, look at the International Crisis Group report, or the UN, or the West. Their position is that denounce the LTT, accept the TNA as a leadership. So much hypocritical, because all these parties divided here, the Tory party and everything. How can you force the Tamil people to accept this little TNA to be your leader, and then forget about the history of the LTTE, and forget about putting forward Tamilam, negotiate with the government, whatever comes, get some whatever rights you can get. That's the position we denounce. We reject all these things altogether, and then we put forward. Then the question about what we stand for and so on. And why there is a book, unfortunately it's not here, but you should see it, and how do we apply it? We don't care. We do not go in support with the Modi regime, for example. Why? There is a Hindi they're trying to enforce, one language, one tax, one nation issue. It's going to be a massive issue in Tamil Nadu. Already almost all classes oppose it. That's how it started in Sri Lanka, on the language issue, single only act. But they're trying to implement the Hindi only act in India. All the TNA leaders supporting Modi. What a hypocritical position. You might as well go and support whatever Gotabaya are doing. Why are you pretending? We only look at political positions of these organizations, you know. You might as well. So why would not see the struggling masses in Tamil Nadu as your ally? This is where the problem is. This is where the question of leadership comes into being. We don't care. We have always been in a minority. We don't care we're in a minority. But we have to take the correct position. That's the problem here. What are the things? We are quite rightly asked the question about the trade union position. We have to see how do we can strengthen by building here. How do we use the influence we have? What can we do there? How can we link up with the struggle which is emerging in India, which Jagadish mentioned about the railway workers possibly going into the strike, bank workers work. How do we establish links with them? This is the future, and that is the strength we have to rely on. This is a solid strength. You rely on David Cameron. Where is that strength? Where is it gone? Where is this pocket? You know, Samandran said, I have David Cameron in his pocket. You know, where is he gone? The thing is, that is not a strength. That's a speculation. That's a kind of a false promise you give it to these poor suffering masses. There is no research will come out of that. We have gone through genocide to understand that politics. We cannot give up. That's the whole point here. The people have gone through a lot of suffering. People have gone through a lot of struggle. And you asking us to forget that experience and not take any lessons from it? Of course, we say no. And that's why it is important, all these young people here, active in this campaign, etc. And then we have to reject. And then the question of who should we support? We don't care. It's a singular leader, Tamil leader, Muslim leader. Muslim population is now pushed into, look, where Siri explained, into a corner in terms of nobody support them, etc. Hizbullah was not necessarily, he's popular, but he's not necessarily the leader, seen as a leader of all Muslims and everything, and etc. Even young people kind of lean toward him, without really supporting him in some areas, particularly because he's the only one talking anything, you know? Because no other Muslim leader come forward and provide a particular leadership at this stage. On this election question, they're saying, oh, we will wait and see. What that means, we are sitting on the fence, we will come and decide who opens the box cash box, basically. That's what exactly means. Who will be supporting? If we what their aim is to maintain the vote base, also get the money. That's it. If you really stand for the people, you don't have to wait. You can make your voice heard. On the question of the parliamentary queue, TNA was sleeping. When the people interviewed us and the leading member of the TNA on the same radio immediately after, that guy was saying, I don't know nothing about it. He's an MD, second in charge for the TNA. He never heard about anything. What kind of people are this? You could have taken a position immediately. You didn't. Even you left an MP to Mahinda Rajapaksa. So that kind of an organization this is. So we stand. For example, that's why we stand. In this election, it's going to be a serious issue. Serious question for all Tamil leaders, all Tamil diaspora organizations. What candidate are you going to support? Are you going to support a candidate who's going to stand firm on supporting these issues on the Muslim questions or the Tamils, and broadly, even in this situation, in the emergency is there in Sri Lanka right now, and boldly putting forward a slogan such on these questions of privatization, disappeared, political prisoners, as well as right to self-determination, including separation. Somebody put forward that, maybe say Siridunga Jayasuriya, you're just going to say, look, we don't need to support this guy. And we will see which one we can support, Sajid Premadasa or Maitri Bala or whatever the candidate comes in. Let's think about it. I know I don't have to convince the people here, but we have more to do in the community and have a fight. Look, this is not acceptable. It doesn't matter our candidate we support get 500 votes or 50 votes, don't care. What you support is important. At the end of the day, you can support Sajid, who might even win or who might have about 40% of the vote, but he will just give you back, he will take your vote and give you back all the thing. You know that very well. Why you have to go down that road? That's why we need to have a longer view of history. Support, doesn't matter smaller force it may be. Support the right program, stand firm and build on that basis, grow on that basis, and that's the real victory. Unless we convince them, unless we take that idea into the community, we will never be strong. There will be more attack on us. There will be more death. We reject that position and we want to continue to fight on the right basis.
Sir, one point to Jagadish is that not only whatever the strike or whatever the planning, but you had to see what happened to the railways in this country after privatization. The first thing is now the Labour Party is saying that as soon as we come to power, the first thing they want to bring back the railway into the public ownership. So this had to be explained to the people, because now people cannot go on the railway if it is gone, because all these companies are there not for charity. They are going to put up the prices and prices will skyrocket. Those people will not even able to get on one train. The train is the main mode of transport for the masses in India. Without train, there will be nothing will happen in India. So actually, if you are privatizing, that is a very profitable business if it is the Modi is trying to do. But on the other hand, how much it will affect the masses, that has to be also brought out, I think.
Is India the only country which runs its train? Its railways on a loss, isn't it?
Railway on a loss?
No, many countries.
Many countries.
Because they get more subsidy from government, France especially, something like 30% subsidy. It gets, here also London Underground gets subsidy.
Yeah.
It's public.
That has to be.
Subsidies, they
Yeah,
can
we'll come back in. So Jagadish can come back on that and he knows some of the details on that. Is there any other burning questions or contributions?
A question for you. Now, in the next Sri Lankan presidential election, which candidate will India support?
You know all the he's in touch with the road.
My name is Vasant.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay.
Any other?
A very simple question.
Any other questions? Okay.
It's already one person have declared.
I will ask.
He wanted to. Who wanted to come in first? Okay.
So I think India will support the winning candidate.
Yeah.
Whoever.
Menahem?
I think it should handle it.
Yeah, that's one more question.
One more question.
You know, in India and Sri Lanka, or any kind of countries, everyone's struggling to have a platform for the political knowledge, education for the youngsters or whoever it is. What type of education systems in place, or you thinking to place in Sri Lanka or India to make the mass movement?
Okay, who is going to come in?
He wants me to.
Okay, how many minutes you need to answer? 20 minutes?
Yeah, no, less than.
Less than that.
Comrades, it's a very good discussion with very simple questions. You have asked very simple questions. I mean, it's the answers on my fingertips. I can just give it to them. Comrade Kirtish, no? Yeah, he raised one very good point. In referring to the question of the trade unions, he said we must build good trade unions. They can do things. But I don't think there is any country where there are very good trade unions. There's no country in the world, and mind you, we should also have this, there is no revolutionary trade unions. Of course, revolutionary ideas can enter the trade unions and germinate the question of the revolution itself, because as Marxists we believe that who can challenge the capitalist class is the people who create the wealth. And you just by shouting slogans that we are the workers, we create the wealth, give the ruling to us, we will rule, it will not happen. So this is a class struggle. That's why we say it's a class struggle. It is a fight to finish. So we will have to infuse as a small force in the beginning, like what you comrades of the Tamil Solidarity have taken a very, very important step to set up a trade union committee. Why have you done that? Because not only to win support for the Tamil Solidarity demands, but at the same time to link it with the real forces of revolution. I mean, as internationalists, we believe that the question of the Tamil in Sri Lanka is not separate from the overall emancipation or the overall solution that we want for the entire oppressed sections of the population in the world. Of course, from speaking in this small room, it may look like I'm talking through my hat, but that is the only solution. There is no shortcuts methods. I mean, of course, we all know the struggle of the Tamil guerrillas in Sri Lanka itself. Without naming, without taking that or this organization, we all salute their heroic struggle that they did. But unless and until you have ideas that will unite the people, not disregarding the problems that we have. That's why the question of the right of self-determination, including separation, is a very important demand. Not disregarding the actual problem, but when we say unite, let's unite to struggle against capitalism, which is the root cause of all these problems. And of course, as a transitional thing, not as a transitional thing, we mean, Lenin meant, at the end of the socialist revolution in Russia, he said Finland could separate if they don't want. That was the way the entire transitional program was framed by Lenin and the Bolsheviks. And in spite of the success, the Finnish people said, we want to separate. Lenin argued for them. Yes, they have the right to go. So it is not just an academic thing, but we really mean it. But the thing is, we have to know who is the enemy, and we will struggle against him or that particular thing, and that's the thing. So we will have to be that germ in the trade unions, which will push the revolutionary idea of revolution in any country for that matter. So if you ask, Comrade Vasant, no? Sampath said, he made a very good point. All the parties have to support the railway workers, because what we have seen around the world in relation to privatization and everything. But the problem, Sampath, is the question that show me one political party in India which is against privatization. Everybody, including the communist parties, have accepted neoliberalism. Communist Party's General Secretary, their government, when they were in power in West Bengal, they said very clearly, reform or perish. There is no alternative to capitalism.
None of the political will accept, but for people, if they find out that...
Yeah, that's a different thing. Political parties, you said the political parties have to support. There are no political parties which stand against privatization, which stand against capitalism, forget about capitalism, which stand against neoliberalism. They don't even talk of socialism except on May Day. So that's the reality of the situation. That's why, however small our forces are, as Ceylon just pointed out, however far our smaller, whether it is 500 votes we get or 50 votes, by the way, electoral arena is not our arena. We use it as a platform to explain our ideas. So it is that, with that revolutionary zeal, revolutionary missionary zeal, that we will have to work. We have to convince the majority of the working class population. When Lenin and Trotsky set out, how many were there? There were just a handful. There is a famous saying that the entire Central Committee of the Bolshevik Party could be fitted into a van. And that was reality. In a horse cart, they could all get into a horse cart and go and change the venue of the meeting. But from February to October, they were heading the revolution. They were in the foreground of the revolution. So one need to have not just dry, boasting confidence of ourselves. We are not arrogant people. But the thing is, we have to be very patiently explaining, but we also have to understand we are going through in a way, a counter-revolutionary situation at the moment. Of course, the forces, the people want revolution. When I say revolution, they want change. Tamils in India want change. Muslims in Sri Lanka want a change. But the thing is, there is nobody who talks of a change. That is the reality of the situation. So when the railway workers of India, for whatever reasons, I am not saying that the entire railway workers are revolutionary. Most of them would have even voted for Modi, thinking that he is going to bring a new India, Achhe Din. But now only they realize that it is not the case. So we were a period, the strikes are when we can, because their antenna is up, political antenna is up, and then we will have to speak the truth. And that it will not happen just in one day or 1 week. It's a long process. Unfortunately, it is a long process. Somebody said immediate solution. What is the immediate solution? There is no immediate solution. The immediate solution is to convince the people, is to convince those oppressed layers of the society who are struggling for a solution. And we cannot just, with the immediate solution, what Modi can offer, is drive away the Muslims from India. Gnanasara would say, drive away Tamils and Muslims from India, Sri Lanka. That is the immediate solution that they can offer. We stand for the unity of the people. We stand for the solution on a sustained basis. Say for example, there are examples in the world where such xenophobic steps have also been taken. Have they solved the problem? Has Israel solved the problem? Has Nepal solved the problem? That was an immediate solution. Those countries were immediate solutions. So that's this explanation. Comrades like you, who have understanding of the socialist revolution, the possibility of what kind of a society that we can create, has to go out and explain. And that's why linking our struggles to the socialist policies and the socialist forces is a very, very important task. And that is the solution that we can talk about.
Yes, one point. Yanasara Tero never spoke against the Tamils. In fact, he had a lot of praise for Prabharan. Once he said he regretted that Prabharan is dead because if Prabharan was around, he could get some T56 from him.
Yeah, that
and
is
by the Muslims.
okay. I don't know much about Gnanasara.
Yeah, sorry,
I think you will be able to. Gnanasara never talked against Tamils.
So the sir, we got lots of questions and stuff. So we will speak for 20 minutes. Is it okay?
We'll see what can do. Yeah, of course, yeah, there are a lot of important questions being raised here. I am in the idea that we could have taken one by one to have a proper discussion. Summarizing the questions, because this Sri Lanka situation is so tense and communists are much more interested to hear, and so it's a bit of unfair, right, to putting everything together and try to find the answer or to summarize the discussion. But anyway, maybe we might find the opportunity in future, right? For example, what we raised in the end of the discussion about Andhra Kumar sitting in the fence or whatever, or the Gnanasara never what do you call criticize the Tamils, you know. I mean, there are whole lots of important questions. And I will start with that. The question is, I mean, of course, I mean, rebuilding the unions is a totally different, very important. One thing you have to understand, it's not like Britain. In Sri Lanka, trade unions were started after political parties formed. Here, the trade unions came first and they then moved the political forming. But of course, there were some unions, 1925 and that period, before the LSSP forming. But after 1935, when the LSSP formed the political party, I mean, they took the ideas to organize the working class. So because of that, always the case in Sri Lanka, the trade unions is linked to the political parties, directly linked to political parties, right? In a way, there was no independent trade union movement in that way. Either organized behind the LSSP, then later on Communist Party, and so on and so forth. So because of that, that's question how to build because they're separated from all other questions. That's why I'm taking this before. You see, so building the trade union movement after the defeat of the 1980 general strike is a very, very what you call Himalayan task, really. As I said before in the discussion, that all the key leaders, the factory level, branch level, or the shop stewards level, the leaders were sacked and lost a job, right? There were about period from 1980 to 1985, there is no trade union functioning in the country at all, right? So, unfortunately, present at the moment trade union leader, whoever trade union leader, is very small. They don't have anything. They have not understand anything from the lessons of the 1980 general strike, right? So we'll discuss some other time. So we need to do that, and we are campaigning for that. I mean for the rebuild the trade union movement. So coming from there to political situation and the other things about mostly relation to the national question, right? I mean. You see, I forget the name because I don't. Yeah, you see that the role of the TNA, the drama, And so they were at the same time. It links to the question the other comrade raised, you see, and then it's linked to the question he raised, right? The who has the solution to the national question among the left or the south in Sri Lanka? You see, you have to understand one thing clearly. At the present moment, Sri Lankan bourgeoisie, either this capitalist party or that capitalist party, they don't see the Tamil national question as one of the prime issue to solve. They think that has pushed back, right? So they can take up other issues into this thing. So nobody take that as a most important thing to discuss what to do, what are going to do. That's the key question you have to understand. That's the mistake of the TNA. Not that I'm taking TNA can do the miracles, right? I mean, good or badly, I mean, when the war is there, the capitalist leader pushed to the walls to think about what you're going to do. And the world pressure also came. What are you going to do? Do something. 1987, they went and signed the Hindu-Lanka Accord. So many things they did. Timpo and you know all these things, right? Right? But since 2009, there was no serious discussion, any level. The government level, no. I mean, even in North, there's no serious discussion how we going to find the solution to the national question. Just no, because there's no pressure from the Tamils in Sri Lanka. So that for that problem, I think TNA leaders have to take the responsibility. We have to blame the TNA. That is important. Not that TNA can bring their miracles or anything. They have their own limitations as a minority party, right? At the same time, I think that Congress is withdrawn in 1974. JP took up some support in this thing on the Vadikota resolution. No, I don't think. You see, there was some discussion, some section of the JVP, like Lionel Bopage, right, who's now in Australia, took up a slightly different position from Vijayaveeran, right, that we have to support to the right of self-defense. But that was never discussed within the JVP, or they never took up this thing. And we have to understand, as petty bourgeois, rural youth based as the party, because they really based among the Sinhalese, you see, neither 1971 or even 89 period, where the two sort of insurrection, whatever the word you use, two things, two uprising, they have nothing in the north, they have nothing in the east, they have nothing in the plantation. That's a singular revolution. JVP led the singular youth revolution. I mean, that shows by picture in the graphic that they didn't have any idea that there's a Tamils living, there's a Muslim living, there's a plantation this thing. What they did is criticizing them, especially the tea plantation, saying that the what you call answer to the unemployment question is to get the plantation people to back to India. That's the Vijayveera's solution to the unemployment issue. So anyway, they didn't have any progressive this thing or the close to the progressive in relation to Tamil national question. So about the Muslim question, if Mahinda come to power or Mahinda can get the support of the Muslim, they are trying hard to get it. Mahinda is a bit silent these days really on this issue. But you see, I feel not only the Mahinda, even to Ranil or whoever the UNP candidate, there's no guarantee that Muslim people are going to vote. The last week's statement from the Rauf Hakim saying that they are waiting until who is the candidate. At least that shows something, right? So even the TNE has pushed to that situation. They also say, no, we have to see the program, who's going to bring them. I think TNA leaders is speaking like, school children, you see, kindergarten children, right? What program? How many programs they have seen for the last 70 years of so-called capital leaders? So what are they going to wait for the new program for the capital leaders? So that's the problem. They're blind. They have come to the situation where they have no way to go forward, you see. And one other thing is about, BBS and ISIS funded by the same resources. Which I don't have any this thing, but it is, there are a lot of talks going on. I think they may be, to think that's matter. But what is important is, how those forces function in the country, right? And showing some sort of, antagonism in between. Then finally, in somewhere, they have the links to work together, you see. But singular masses and the Muslim people are being fooled. That is the most important thing, because because of the wrong policy of the capitalist leaders. So I think what we need to today, right? Coming back to the who has the program or the idea to solve the national, I think the USP. By name is linked to the Andhra Kumar or JVP. By name there can be so many socialists. There can be so many socialists by name. But in practice, who are the real socialists? That is the most important thing. What is JVP doing now? Last over the 5 years, they are supportive of this government. That's not the matter. They have lost the credibility. Whatever the credibility they had, right? And they are not anymore socialist party. They have become bourgeois. They are diluted to bourgeois parliamentary politics now, right? They are not talking about revolution. They are not talking about now socialism, right? So I think they have lost credibility, whatever they have. The Andhra Kumar, I think, not he's a fence. I think he's in the what you call hell. He's in hell, really, not friends. Right? He can't come out. There's no question. There's no come out here, right? So about this, the Elia and Gota and things, you see, of course, Elia is funded by the key big business people in the country. And together with the ex-military top brass, Kamal Gunratna, who is the person that 2 years ago said, if we come to power, we will kill everybody who's going against a single Buddhist state, right? That's their dream. That's what I said in my opening remarks. Some of the people who are thinking, right, who support the Rajapaksa camp, may be thinking, if this man going to come to power, what's going to happen to us, you see, right? So that's why I said, forget about the issue of American citizenship and other things. Mahinda is in a dilemma whether he can gather all the support by naming Gotabaya as the candidate. But single Buddhist key temple leaders, Buddhist leaders, are promoting Gota. That's the problem. That's the problem for Mahinda. So that's why I am thinking, Mahinda is still trying to overcome that problem, Gotabaya problem, by nominating someone else. That's why he's delaying. This is still, black and white the question. He could say who's the candidate. Why is delaying? That itself shows there's a big problem behind that. Big problem behind that. So that's why Maithripala thinking, finally he can get become the candidate, because Mahinda doesn't have any other candidate, you see. We don't know. But anyway, there's no much time. They have to come forward. they have come out. UNP crisis is a different crisis. UNP crisis is different, right? Because as I said, Ranil is highly unpopular, right? Nobody believes now Ranil, right? Even their own ranks doesn't believe. The people who, supported him, NGOs and other things, they including Vikram Rao, they don't believe Ranil anymore. Now, because of that, they are looking for a bit of Karu Jayasuriya, right? Right? His name also Jayasuriya, but no relationship. Right? No relationship whatsoever. Right? So you see now whether they can promote Karu Jayasuriya as the candidate. That's liberal people's aspect. And the UNP rank and file, they want Sajid to come back, right? Sajid, as I said, Sajid is another the problem. He is completely based on Sinhala Buddhist ideology, and we can't see any other difference between the Mahinda and Sajid. Sajid could be more dangerous even. More dangerous even, we don't know. He doesn't have any vision. He doesn't have any idea. He don't, put it this way, he doesn't know any politics. No, quite honestly.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Sajid Premdas doesn't have any politics. When I said that few years ago about Sirisena, nobody believed. But I said this man doesn't understand any politics. Now everybody saying he doesn't understand. My present president, he doesn't understand any politics. Whether we agree or disagree, politics is politics. You need to know the politics, right? So because of the Gota, and here, the Congress, together with all the radical Tamils here in UK and London, and organized a campaign against when Gota came here, right? It was flop, right? That's very good. We must thank all the comrades, but Gota has got a lot of money. So for example, his launching, earlier launch took place in Sri Lanka in Shangri-La. I can't remember the bill. Unbelievable the cost. Who paid the money? Where he got the money? He said, I am pensioner. I am living on my pension.
Wow.
So how can he do that kind of thing?
Pension funding.
Right? And one other question, the comrade asked, how you see something like immediate solution to this problem, right? In the capitalist frame, right, in the capitalist system, of course, we talking about right of self-determination, even right, but you see, there are, temporary agreement could reach, right, like 13th Amendment in 1987, right, Rajiv Gandhi and J.R. Jayawardena signed, but even after that, what you saw, Sri Lankan capitalist class, bourgeoisie, doesn't have the confidence and the power to implement that. So that shows because of the so weak capitalist class, there's no capitalist class in Sri Lanka. That's one of the key problems, right? They are a business class, finance, bank. That's the business in Sri Lanka. There's no other. So because of their very weak class, so they don't have any power or strength, will power to implement that thing. So because of that, we can't see any temporary or the transitional agreement can reach between the capitalist class and the Tamil leaders. So because of that, things has come more sharper now. More sharper now. See, Ranil, really, try to do something on this question. See, releasing the Tamil political prisoners, very simple thing. Very simple thing. It's not going to cost any money or anything. But they would not do it. Could not do it. It's about disappearance.
What is the problem? What is the problem Ranil has?
So if we do that, the single Buddhist masses go against. You see, put it this way. JVP is still commemorating their Vijay Veeras this thing. And why the Tamil people can't have their commemoration? Right? I mean, there could have been a somewhat bigger commemoration this time. Mullivaikal, the last year, there was a fairly big thing, spontaneous, I mean, up to a certain extent. I mean, out of TNA, out of Vignesaran and others, which I personally took part. I went there together with our USP comrade. We were the only single people. In fact, Vignesaran, because Vignesaran was invited as the chief person, because those young people who organized the Mullivaikal commemoration, they don't want to get the political leaders to get involved into that one. So Vigneswara coming after doing this speech, he saw me because I'm crossing the road. I'm just sitting. Oh, you should have come. You should have come there, no? So I said, no, I came here to see the thing. I'm not a part of this one, right? No, you should have come, because he know me personally, right? So, I mean, you see, I mean, there could have a very big this thing, but because of this, the Easter Sunday, the attack, everything went. I mean, not only that, class struggle, what happened? I mean, teachers went on strike on February, right? And the railways in the strikes in the country, and the students on the streets, right? And all, I mean, more than that, I mean, first time in Sri Lanka, I mean, almost every plantation, the workers, without trade union leaders, they came to one block and fight for rupees 1,000 demand. Rupees 1,000 demand. That was going on strong day by day. Everything pushed back. All the struggles pushed back. That's why we think. You see, this kind of individual attacks or terrorist attacks will always, I mean, has a final say for the capitalists, and the class struggle has been pushing back. About the capital punishment and those things are very popular. You know the capital punishment. To implement the capital punishment, if you take sort of what you call the opinion poll, I think more than 50% people in favor. That's why the Sirisena, right, trying to use that as a political weapon to get back to this popularity doing that. But because of the, I mean, judiciary is against at the moment, they are not giving their this thing, and so many other campaigns taking place in the top. And I feel, I mean, I heard some when I'm here that they have decided to implement the capital punishment first week of August or something, but still I doubt, because I mean the UNP is against as a political party, Mahinda Rajapaksa is against, right? I mean, especially if Mahinda Rajapaksa going against, that's a big problem for Sirisena. That's a big problem for Sirisena. So I mean, this is a very interesting discussion, and the last thing which I said, that's an important question, even though it's a bit of looks like a joke. I mean, with the candidate is India going to support? That's somewhat very important, because India was behind the Sirisena in 2015. That's to the matter.
2005?
2005, yeah. So, what I think, because things are so complicated now, I think India is waiting to support who's going to win.
Can I make three comments about Sajid. He once in the UNP executive meeting suggested that Sri Lanka should be constructed according to Bhumipitra ideas.
Yeah.
That was on UNP website. I read that thing. About 2 days after, when I went to copy and paste it on my computer, it disappeared. That is one thing. And you said the trade union activities were abandoned between 80 and 85. The only trade union was active at the time was Jaliya Sevaka Sangamaya. Cyril Mathieu was the leader. And he was busy burning library, organizing the riots and so on. So they were active. Even Ganna Tawai said that, you know, Professor,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he had written about that 83 riots. Fantastic analysis.
Yeah. So it's good discussion.
Ah,
I think
one more. About Godabaya's funding for his election campaign. Now, my question is, where is the LTT gold and cash?
nobody knows. Do you know? Tell us, we're going to go get it.
I mean, that's in hands of. With,
No, if he knew, he would not have come here. Not searching for that. If he knew, you would be searching for that. Why would you come here?
Yeah. So jokes aside, and it was very good discussion. I think, do you want to say anything additionally or just?
No.
Yeah. And you wanted to say something?
No, I just, because I forgot to answer Nadesh and his
Okay.
points, just a couple of minutes. I mean, as I mentioned about the Balakot attack that happened under the this so-called anti-terror this thing, that was a kind of a surgical strike in all aspects, because it was so surgical that it delivered what the operation was successful and Modi got votes. Likewise, in the context of the growing, whatever Modi or the Modi's government tried to hide the data in relation to the unemployment, but the ground reality is ground reality. The truth cannot be hidden by the people who are experiencing unemployment. So, one of the biggest constituencies of Modi, as we all know, is the upper middle class. The upper middle class in India, invariably 80 or even more than 80% is upper caste. The privileged caste who have been given all kinds of privileges in education over centuries, and that's the reality of the situation. That particular section of the population, because of the nature of the BJP and the parental organization that it controls, the RSS, is a project of the upper caste thinking. So they knew that over the period of these 4 years or 5 years between 2014 and 2019, while unemployment grew at such a big pace, the new middle class which was coming out of the universities, they were not being given jobs because nobody had jobs. In such a situation, it was an eyewash to say that they will be provided 10% of the jobs. But the question is, you mentioned about there must be some updating of this quota situation. That's another question. We will come to that, but where are the jobs? See, Modi has gone into a reform spree, anti-public sector spree. See, the entire job sector in India, which the government is talking about right from 1989 or 1990 when the Mandal Commission came into existence, which create not only for the Dalits and the tribals, but also gave 27% of the reservation to the OBCs, other backward castes, which is really a landed gentry. Of course, there are poor people with marginal lands and everything, but all this has to come from the public sector. They have never talked about, as you said correctly, they have never talked about private sector jobs. Neither Narayan Murthy or the Asit Premji or any other Tata, Birla, Ambani are going to accept reservation in the private sector. That's a challenge. That's a challenging demand we can put forward as a transitional struggle demand we can put forward. But the thing is, today in the public sector there are no jobs. When there are no jobs not only being generated, new jobs, the privatization spree or even a neglect of the public sector is killing jobs. So on the one hand, the demonetization and the GST killed 5 million informal jobs, but over a period, right from the period of Manmohan Singh and prior to that, the public sector industry, public sector itself is being killed. So in such a situation, no new generation, new investment in the public sector, no new employment in the public sector, you can give 100, even 150% reservation. What does it matter for the bourgeois? You don't have to provide anything. So in such a, of course, from the point of social justice, we opposed the 10% reservation to the upper middle class or the upper caste economically backward. This is a ploy of the BJP and this thing. But what is very disturbing, not disturbing, disgusting, is that on the one hand, the DMK and the Tamil Nadu parties opposed it, no doubt about it, because they have to do that. But what is that? On the one hand, they have alliance with the CPM, CPI. This is the truth of the matter. They see, even to that extent, to the extent of the DMK, CPM, CPI did not look into this issue. In such a situation, and I think Rahavan, while doing an interview with me earlier, he said very correctly, but while you say that you are so progressive, you are against the policies of Modi, you want to defeat the so-called fascism of the Modi, but at the same time, there were 3 major bills that were passed in the parliament in the last 2 weeks. Where did DMK go? DMK voted for those, the National Intelligence Agency bill, the wage code bill, which brings down the minimum wage by 1/3. There's never been in the history that the minimum wage is cut. The proposals, if it goes through, the minimum wage in India is going to be cut while we are demanding 100 rupees an hour minimum wage. It's going to be cut. And also, more than that, the question of the National Register of Citizenship. None of these people voted against it. It's accepted. That's the problem. When I was answering to the other question, there is no party in India today, neither the left nor the right or the center, which stands for the people's questions, for the ordinary working class people questions, and who are against neoliberalism or neo-capitalism. Everybody accepts capitalism as the only alternative. That is the thing. It's not because of what we wishful thinking that a new socialist alternative or a new mass party of the working class has to be discussed and proposed. It is the need of the hour, because there is a vacuum in the situation.
Right. This last point in terms of how we apply and do things is very important, and then the forces that we have linked with in these countries is very clear for a number of Congress why we do that, and it's much more clear now through this discussion. And in terms of the talkers and the doers, most of these left are in a war against anti-fascism in India. All these people who claim, but in a way it's a justification to support kind of these forces Nadesan and Jagadish mentioned. Striking contrast to that, we say build an independent force of our class and the oppressed section, etc. And of course, we don't go with the conspiracy theory and so on. But at the same time, it is clear, when I mentioned that there is a link between this funding, the state, and all these things which is published, etc. That's all we can say. But most importantly, we can talk about this theory, whatever it is, and etc. Most importantly, what we build. And that is important. That is another question to that, is that you take in part, but also giving money. Like give us some donation if you can before you go, because we are involved in not just kind of random things, building these forces in these countries as well as here. So give us a donation if you can. Our donation come from members and so on. We don't get money from big business and etc. like Elia and many other organizations. And the way we have our approach to funding is very clear for a lot of people, very open, and also get money from the foundation and so on. So there is many ways you can do it. You can donate some money today before you go, please do. And also, if you wanted to register for your book, give us the money for that as well now, if you want. But also, if you're not paying monthly for Tamil Solidarity, please take up a standing order today if you can. Ask any question. If you don't have any confidence in ourselves, we can answer that questions and so on. If you're not, I think most of you do, but then we're not, and then please do that. And I think we'll end this one, and also there will be, if you want to talk to them while we're arranging all this room, etc., please do. Thank you. The money, if you're paying it, to see Isai.